I ran into a snow elf earlier. He was a pretty foul myrrh. What's going on, YouTube? It's the weekend. We're inside the Hollow City, inside the Cold Harbor, to go over our first of two weekend vendors. This one is obviously our luxury furnishing vendor, and we start with plants. I notoriously am not a huge fan of plants, although it looks like this is our new item of the week, sunflower flowers. Then we have some more flowers, you may have guessed. And the interesting thing is that these flowers actually do well over time. The reason for that is that generally people who need flowers, they buy a bunch of them and they put them in a house and they line them up in a row to make something really nice out of them. They're not the worst investment ever. I just personally don't use any of these for any of my own houses. Therefore, I'm like, well, they're neat, and pretty much every single one of these actually has a higher value as a sale average than its actual value here. So these mushrooms are actually doubled. I would say these mushrooms are probably the highlight of this weekend, as well as this blossom tropical palm plant thing. But the rest of these, they're still pretty decent too. I mean, even this, little plant here, I mean, 3,000 to 4,000 is still a pretty good return on investment. And some of these, I mean, they do well. So I can't complain. But this flower, I don't know how well the sunflower row is going to do, because it is a lot of furnishings in a row. This is all one furnishing, you have to remember. So you're getting, this much of a plant versus this much of a plant. So I think it'll do well over time. Probably 1,000 gold will turn to 3,000 to 4,000, but you're not going to be able to sell them all very quickly. It's important to know. And obviously, too, there's going to be, a gap before you can sell them, because everybody that's watching this video or going to the vendor or just interested in housing is going to pick them up before their value rises too much. So all important considerations when it comes to should you get this item. And as the golden gets ready to come out here, please hit the like and subscribe button. If you need any additional information on these vendors as well, ESOhelper.com. Myself and Paradox ESO made that website just for people who may have additional questions outside of these videos that make them from getting a little bit too long, so we don't always have to explain the nitty-gritty, because these are available as always from Friday 8 p.m. Eastern Standard until early Monday morning. So it's good to get them sooner rather than later. This one will hopefully have some good monster sets and golden sets for us, but we shall see. And spoiler, it looks like this is our makeup weekend, because we have two sets of items here inside the golden vendor, because for those of you who don't know, during the actual PTS on the live where we were testing the Vengeance campaign, we weren't able to use the golden vendor, which means we have a double golden vendor this weekend. And we start with Flame Blossom, which ironically was able to be purchased, I believe, last week, but in a different form. And it comes from Bloodroot Forge. For those of you who don't remember, it's 2, 3, and 4 is pretty good. It's max mag, weapon and spell, offensive pen. When you summon damage, or when you deal damage, you summon a line of flame that moves after 1 second, dealing flame damage to any enemy in its path and applying the burning status effect. To me, this set, because it requires the enemy to have a huge, big old hitbox, I don't think it's very good. You're not getting a lot of juice for the squeeze, in my opinion. I still think it's a fine set. I think it's a 7 out of 10. I believe I rated it somewhere around a 7 out of 10, maybe a little bit higher. Some people in the comments kind of hyped up the set a little bit, saying it's really good on specific ganking builds, but I don't necessarily know if I think it really stands the test of time, especially with, the age of the bow sorks and everybody being able to use invisibility in 2025. I don't know if this is a set that I would necessarily recommend for that style of gameplay. So for me, it's around that 7 out of 10 mindset. Interestingly, this also comes from Bloodroot Forge. When you take damage while under 50% health, you summon a Preservation of Nature around you in an 8-meter radius. And for 8 seconds, which grants major protection to you and everybody in your group while in the area, reducing your damage taken by 10%. This effect can occur once every 30 seconds. This is a testament, Zos, to why, let me tell you why the set isn't good. And if you've watched the Golden Vendor videos for a while, you know why this is a good set. Firstly, anything that procs when you go below a certain amount of health, or anything that you don't necessarily easily directly control, I do not like. I think your proc sets should work based on you doing something. I think it's easier to get into gameplay like that, and I just overall enjoy that style of gameplay a lot more. So not only do you have to basically be half dead, you then get major protection. Another problem, you might be wondering, major protection, you just get that for free in 2025. Everybody's got major protection. The Nightblade that's trying to kill you from invisibility probably has major protection. So you're going and farming a whole dungeon set to give a buff that 90% of the ESO player base probably already has or would have easy access to from other and better means. And unfortunately also too, its cooldown's not very good either. Next up is another monster set, Hemjaws. It comes from Runes of Mazatut. It gives stam recovery, stam, crit chance, one line of weapon and spell. And then when you're in or within 28 meters of an enemy you're in combat with, and that enemy dies, you gain Major Berserk for 10 seconds, increasing your damage done by 10%. So interestingly, in PvP, you would have a pretty good uptime for a buff like this. The only problem is I don't necessarily think that you're going to get a whole lot of value from this, in the sense that, yes, it's a pretty good buff, but you could get Major Berserk, for example, from things like Reaper's Mark. Do you necessarily need to use something like this? Or if you really want, you could use Wrecking Blow to gain, you know, that same buff, or Hircine's Rage if you're a werewolf, or Greater Storm Atcher, or Chains of Devastation. So if you could get a buff easily-ish from skills, especially with, you know, the 2025, you could subclass into the Assassination line. Who's doing that? Am I right? Who's using the Assassination line? Ooh. You know, do you really want to actually use that to gain these bonuses? +2 is subclassing, where you gain access to other bonuses and things. And that doesn't talk about the fact that it's also on sets like Sea Serpent's Coil. It's an option to get on Saint and Seducer. To me, it's just not a set that has a good enough bonus. But I do think because of its uptime, because it saves you from using a skill, I will still give it a 6.5 out of 10. It's not terrible. It's just not good enough to justify a 5-piece. And if it's 2, 3, and 4 and other 5 were just like straight weapon and spell damage, I think we'd be on to something. But right now we're not cooking. The oven is turned off. Next up is Mad Tinkerers. Now, Mad Tinkerers comes from Clockwork City. I own the set, fully golded out. It's 2, 3, and 4 is crit chance, weapon and spell. And then you summon a thing that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, dealing shock damage. It knocks them up into the air, stunning them. And this effect has good uptime of 8 seconds. I loved this set on my Sorcerer. I thought it was hilarious. It was funny. And when enemies got knocked up into the air, it kind of really messed with them, and it made people pretty easy to kill. I love this on a Sorcerer. I think this set is underrated. But that being said, not currently wearing it on any of my builds, even though I own it golded out. So it's, you know, even though the nostalgia is there, I mean, I'll give it a 7.1. I think you could easily build this into a pretty good set. To me, a 7 out of 10 is good. 8 out of 10 is great. 9 out of 10 is fantastic. And a 10 out of 10 is best in slot. It's in the 7 range. It's probably 7.1 to 7.5-ish range. It's good. It's working towards great, but it really is a finicky type set to try to get to use. And then if you try to use it in PvP, you know, sometimes PvP turns into a bit of a slideshow. It can be sometimes difficult to finagle and get off. Next up is from Stormhaven, and that is Night Terror. Now, if the average resale price of this is anything to go by, you know the set's not very popular. It does give you maximum stamina and reduces the radius you can be detected while sneaking by 2 meters, and reduces the cost of your sneak by 10%. That's a pretty good 3-piece if you're thinking of a master thieving build. Easily a cheap way to get into that. Obviously, do not buy it golded out for here. Buy it for 900 gold, but then you could also get some maximum health. And if you want it as a 5-piece, when you take melee damage, you deal poison damage back to the attacker. It can occur every 1 second. This set is funny, but it's also not very effective. But if you did want to use it in a master thieving build and you were on a bit of a budget, there are slightly better alternatives. This is a great balling on a budget. If you want to start getting into heist, Dark Brotherhood quests, any of those types of thieving routes, this is a pretty good set on a budget. You could see literally you could buy pieces of it for cheap. Stack that with the other thieving, you know, bonuses, being able to not be detected in stealth. You'll be doing pretty good on that. Next up is Shadow Dancer, which I believe comes from Green Shade. Also, you can sell by its average price. Not a whole lot of value here. It does have a decent 2 through 4 of max mag through some weapon and spell. And then after leaving stealth or invisibility, you dodge all incoming attacks within the next 1 second. The effect can occur once every 8 seconds. So basically, you can use this to get iframes. You could use things like, you know, a vampirism stealth coming in and out of it. The problem is that your set's giving you basically 1 second out of every 8 seconds. immunity, but if you were to take the damage that you're potentially then going to take afterwards, you're just gaining about 1/8 the value of some other sets. Like if you gain major protection, that's just, you know, a good flat rate off the damage you're taking. So like stack major, minor protection, major, minor resolve, you're getting a lot more value out of that. That's just coming from skill. So to use a full 5-piece set to get a second of it, you know, immunity by dodging all incoming attacks, I just don't think it's very valuable. I have seen people use this, so I do think that there are people that stand by this set, because I've noticed this set get used. So I will give it a 7, but I think that's a generous 7. And this set is from Banished Cells 1. This set used to be the bee's knees. It used to be the most popular set in the game. 10 out of 10, essential tanking set to own. It was an AoE taunt. It was fantastic because when you deal damage with a blink, charge, leap, teleporter, pull, you gain some physical and spell resistance. You would taunt all the enemies and then you would heal, but now you just taunt the first enemy. So this has gone from a necessary set to a set that you're just like, whatever, you know, like it's a set that you might want to own. I don't even know where to scale a set like this because there are people that still use it. It's fine. But you're getting an unnamed buff of, you know, physical and spell resistance, which is good. You're getting a free easy taunt, which is fine. And you're healing for a little bit. But most of the time, like your tanks just need to do more than that. I will give it a 6.5. It's above average. But as far as support sets go, if you're a tank or support character, you're going to be using better stuff than this. I mean, back in the day, this was the thing. Today's day and age, ain't nothing. Next up is Vanish. Now, this one is one that's interesting because you can see its TC average is 879. So basically, the shtick of this bad boy is after a fully charged heavy attack, you gain major mending. You also get some additional bonuses to that if you do a bunch of stuff with restoration stat passives. Don't even worry about that because this set is probably a 5 or 6 out of 10. It's not worth considering. Now, you might think that 5 and 6s are generous on my scale, but I don't encourage anyone to buy anything from the Golden Vendor unless we're a 9 or a 10. 7s and 8s, they're worth considering outside of the Golden Vendor. Maybe upgrade them later if they really speak to you. A 5 or a 6, you're not touching with a 10-foot pole. So this is a set that you don't need. Major mending is not very useful in most types of content. And even when it is, you're not using a full 5-piece like this to really use it. And if you needed to get it in the future, you're not really breaking the bank in case any of that ever changes. All right, though, chat. This is from Oathsworn's Pit. I actually recently have been experimenting with this set. I love this set. It gives you 1 piece of weapon and spell, and then a 2-piece of attacking an enemy with a fully charged heavy attack, throws an axe, dealing 663 physical damage, reducing their armor in an unnamed buff way, meaning it would stack with any other way. This effect could occur, that goes for 5 seconds. This effect could occur once every 10 seconds, but there's an axe that drops to the ground. If you pick that up, it actually reduces the cooldown. And I will say I love this set so far. I think for me, this is the current Bosork PvP set to run. It gives the ability to do a lot of extra damage with a heavy attack. You can already scale tons of damage with heavy attacks using different skills and setups on your bar. I thought that I would personally like Battle Orcs, which is what I've been experimenting with previously. And to me, this set has taken over it. I don't know if this is a best in slot set, but I will tell you that Oathsworn Pits with randoms is painful. I would encourage you to buy this. I hesitate to say this is a 10 out of 10 set, but I see it very frequently used. I see a lot of people talking about this set. Really, the things that seem to be limiting this set are the fact that it comes from a very hard dungeon, and 2, from the fact that most people don't like to play Bow Sorks or Bow Nightblades. But if you are one of those things, I hesitate to say it's a 10 out of 10, but it very well could be argued that it is a 10 out of 10. I would buy this. If I didn't just farm this with my boy David and, you know, my other 2 friends, I would get this. Good, I already have it, but it's good. I know that archer builds are very popular for people wanting to get into PvP. This is a great way to do so because it will reward you for heavy attacking, which you need to be getting, you know, used to anyway. It'll reward you for doing things like medium attacking. It's a great set. Next up is from Scrivener's Hall. I call this the Dr. Oz set because it's got Oz in the name. And I don't want to pronounce the full name realistically because I'm going to say it wrong. You guys are going to comment. We'll just move past that. It gives you mag recoveries of 1 piece, and overhealing yourself or an ally grants them extra armor and then healing yourself or an ally grants them a minor vitality, increasing their healing received and damage shield strength by 6%. This is a fantastic set for quite a lot of different types of options. PvP. It's great to be able to give people armor, because armor, giving that to them is not affected by battle spirit's ability, for healing to be reduced or shield strength to be reduced. You're also giving them extra damage shield strength if they are to be using that, which if they're in PvP, they probably are. I love this set. I don't know how essential a set like this is because it is a support set, but I think if you are building a healer support, either for PvE, PvP, a lot of people like to run this on kind of no death 4-man content builds, or they're giving people over shields just in case somebody, Brandon, messes up on the mechanics and dies to like some stupid spider mob that you literally could just squish with a heavy attack, and he somehow dies to it because he's a goober. This is the set that you want to be running. It is fantastic in my opinion. I would highly recommend it. I would give it a 9 out of 10 just because I think, yes, you could argue it's a 10 out of 10. But if I want to start leaning more on the side of caution, and if this set speaks to you based on how I'm describing it, then to you, it could be the 10 out of 10. But that way people don't get mad at me for saying I get too excited when I do these. But it's Friday night. Who's not excited? And I didn't even know this was next. I do this blind. Roxa's the Warped, guys. I didn't even see this here. This to me is a 10 out of 10 set, undisputed. Balsanar, it's fantastic. It gives you a 1 piece of recoveries, which in and of itself could be good. You could run this as a 1 piece. Nobody would bat an eye. It's probably better to run as a 2 piece, obviously, but there could be situations where you want it as a 1 piece to get an extra little bit of recovery. As a 2 piece, though, it is Death Dealer's Feat for recoveries. You don't have to run a full 5 piece Wretched Vitality set. You can run a 2 piece monster set. Yes, there are situations where Wretched Vitality is better, but yes, there are situations where Roxa is better. I absolutely adore this set. PvP is filled with being in combat infinitely. Just let your Death Dealer's Feat, let your Roxas build maximum stacks, get maximum value out of it, and you will have tons of recovery. Yes, things like the Siphoning skill line have made things where you don't necessarily need as much recoveries as you needed to previously. If you find yourself in a situation where you're taking, skill lines that have some passives in it that give you recoveries, but to me, you will never go wrong with owning a monster set like this. Balsanar is not the worst dungeon in the world to run, but it definitely requires a lot of some thinking at least. So it's a good pickup. It's a 10 out of 10 set, undisputed. I've used this set for many, many years, and I love it. Maybe not many years, it's not that old, but I still love it. Next up is the Blind from Bedlam Vale. Now this set's kind of similar to Oz, but in a worse way. It gives you crit chance, and then when you critically heal, or when you're healing critically strikes, your target gains a Hydroglass damage shield, but doesn't absorb a lot of damage. But while the damage shield holds, and after it ends, that target gains minor force. So basically, it's a cheap way to give people damage shields, give them some minor force. Now, usually this is probably going to give them a little bit more value than what you're seeing from me, because obviously I'm in Cyrodiil, got Battle Spirit active. So yes, there are people who build this in a way, to where people can skip mechanics by having damage shields on them, kind of, prevents your friend Brandon from dying. It's a decent set, but I don't necessarily think it's one that you need to own, but I will still give it an 8 out of 10 because it does have some great utilization for specific narrow types of content. And also, I'm now realizing that the sets that are down here are the sets that were up there, but as rings. So what this also means is that you guys can complete every set that's here. So for example, you can get that set that we talked about as being the Juicer Magooser for heavy attacking / medium attacking. That's fantastic. You can also use this to get the Blind. You can use it to finish off your Roxas. You can use it to finish off your Dr. Oz set. I think this is one of the best weekends potentially we've seen in the longest period of time for ESO, in the sense that all of these monster sets have such good utilization, in my opinion, that there's really something here for everybody, in my opinion. For example, if you were like, Jake, I want to build an archer build, go and use this monster mask, and you could get the shoulder that goes with it. Especially if you've been grinding AP, it's fantastic. If you want to become a really good healer, PvE, PvP support, boom, you got both head and shoulders, knees and toes. If you want to have a nice recovery set, and what this does too is it allows you to also easily, because you're not running a full 5-piece recovery set, you can use an arena weapon with a mythic. So your arena weapon's going to take up 2 slots, your mythic's going to take up 1, and now you've got a full monster set that you can run in addition to another 5-piece set and some other stuff. So I love sets like this because of how much utility it adds to what you're doing. Roxas is one of my favorite sets in the entirety of ESO, and then the Blind is also a good set option as well. So very excited about this weekend. I think it's so many good things for us to talk about. What I'm also going to start doing is putting timestamps, as you can see, for where the good sets are. That way people can skip and they can see the ratings of the high items. If you want me to do it for all of them, I certainly can. Just let me know what your guys' feedback are. You guys love timestamps, so I just want to give timestamps, obviously, whenever possible. That way you guys like the video and subscribe and do all the things that help on YouTube. So if you want to be entered in my giveaway drawing, since we have some more codes to give away, all you need to do to enter is leave a comment, comments below, /like on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. We are 35 subscribers away from our next subscriber goal, and look for a hidden word to be flashed upon the screen. If you're the first person to find and comment that word, you will win. We have at least 1 hidden word per month. It could be in a description. It could be on the screen. We try to hide it somewhere. It's just a reward for those of you who watch, but I try to make it at least in the beginning of the video. It's not been published yet, but it could come out soon. Wait and see. Thank you guys so much again. Have a happy Friday, and I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.